Welcome to this Super Saturday. It's our very first time to be recording on a Saturday, so I'm so excited to be here. And probably what excites me the most is one of my favorite chapters in the Bible. We're actually going to talk about on Sunday tomorrow. But leading up to Acts chapter 26, I'm telling you, Acts chapter 26 has changed my life. But we have to get there. And to get there, we got to go through the Chronicles first today on this Super Saturday. And then we're going to go to Acts 25 today. So First Chronicles chapters 4 and 5 today. Remember yesterday, there wasn't anything to say other than the Chronicles was full of the descendants. Who was the son of who was the ancestor of who? Well, it starts today. Chapter 4 verse 5 continues that. And I'm just going to be transparent with you guys again, because this is tough reading. I want to encourage you never ever to give up. And I wish I could sit here in front of you today and tell you that what I'm going to pick out as a nugget today, I picked out from the very first time I read. That is not true. I skimmed, I read fast, I sometimes skipped over some of the descendants in some of this reading. And I just want to caution you, when you do that, you'll skip a major message from the Lord sometimes. It takes a discipline. Remember, God told me it was just like being on my treadmill, that if I stayed on my treadmill for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, up to a year, that I would be a completely different person physically from the discipline of staying on that treadmill. And that reading His Word is a discipline that takes me just not giving up. So, what I missed several years in a row was 1 Chronicles 4, starting verse 9. There was a man named Jabez who was more honorable than any of his brothers. His mother named him Jabez because his birth had been so painful. Now, that's quite a legacy to carry. That your birth was so painful that your mother named you the name you have because she's reminded of the pain she had in bearing you. I mean, I know there's people at the sound of my voice that's been told that they weren't wanted, that they wish they'd never been born, that, well, your dad never wanted you. Well, I never wanted you. You weren't planned. You know, how many of y'all have been told that because you were born, I had so much pain that it caused me to name you such and such? There are those of you that's experienced that. But this scripture right here can set you free. This scripture right here today can set you free from those words being spoken over you. His mother named him Jabez because his birth had been so painful. He was the one who prayed to the God of Israel. Oh, that you would bless me and expand my territory. Please be with me in all that I do and keep me from all trouble and pain. And God granted him his request. There was a whole book written on this passage of scriptures right here, the book of Jabez. Careful what you pray for. I'm just telling you. Every single time I've prayed this, oh Lord, that you would bless me, Elizabeth, and expand my territory. Please be with me in all that I do, Lord, and keep me from all trouble and pain. There's never been a time that I haven't spent time praying that God hasn't granted that request. Be careful what you pray for him to expand your territory. Are you ready? Are you ready for that expansion? Because he'll do it. That's for sure. And you know what? When I skimmed and I passed over, I missed this powerful point in scriptures. Wow. That a man who is known for the pain he caused his mother to pray and ask God to expand his territory, and God granted him his request. That's worth reading all of the Chronicles for right there, folks. And it's a powerful prayer for you to pray. Right there. Woo-wee. And then here we are again, Acts chapter 25, leading up to tomorrow in Acts chapter 26, but we'll talk about 25 today. They asked Festus as a favor to transfer Paul to Jerusalem, planning to ambush him and kill him on the way. You see the pattern? All last week we read about how they beat him with the intent to kill him. They were going to lash him. He was in prison. Now they're going to transfer him with the intent to kill him because they can't find any legitimate way to kill him. So now they're going to sneak and do sneaky things to kill him. About 8 or 10 days later, Festus returned to Caesarea, and on the following day he took his seat in court and ordered that Paul be brought in. When Paul arrived, the Jewish leaders from Jerusalem gathered around and made many serious accusations they couldn't prove. Paul denied the charges. I am not guilty of any crime against the Jewish laws or the temple or the Roman government, he said. Verse 10, but Paul replied, no, this is the official Roman court, so I ought to be tried right here. You know very well I'm not guilty of harming the Jews. If I've done something worthy of death, I don't refuse to die. Just let that sink in for a minute. Paul was ready to die. But here's the deal, though. Remember what we read last week? Paul knew he had to go to Rome. God said, Jesus visited him and told him that you must spread the good news in Rome. So Paul knew he wasn't going to die, but he was ready to die. But if I am innocent, no one has a right to turn me over to these men to kill me. I appeal to Caesar. And then the rest of the reading today is how King Agrippa comes in. He questions him. He asks what he's guilty of. He listened to witnesses, and then he declares, you know what? If he hadn't appealed to Caesar, I could let him go right now today. But because he appealed to Caesar, he kept him imprisoned. Wow. Wow. To know that he was so close to being released. So close to being set free from prison. So I just want to ask you today, what's got you in prison? What's holding you back? See, prison is what was holding Paul back. He knew he had to go to Rome. God said so. But he couldn't go. He was in prison. He was being held back. The chains that binded him kept him from doing what God called him to do. What's holding you back? What are the chains that bind you? How close to breakthrough are you? See, you can't give up. If Paul would have given up at this point, he was so close to breakthrough. So close to being let go, to be freed. How close are you? You are closer than you think. It's always the darkest before the morning. It always gets rough before the breakthrough. It always gets intense right before the release. Don't give up. Don't ever, ever give up. That's what these words encourage us to do. Never, ever give up.